With that said, you're going to hold that horizontal all night. You're just going to be a cameraman, even if you don't know what you're looking for. Now, this first 10 minutes, guys, is really me getting devices in your hands. Our first location is where you're going to have hands-on experience and practice. Your finger's now covering the camera. There you go. So, it's okay. Do you see the red square on there? It should be on your left-hand side of the screen. Okay, so if that turns to a circle, let us know, but tap it again. That means the video stopped for some odd reason. Maybe you pressed it by accident. It just means I have to splice some video together in the morning. I like to know what I'm working with. So if you had it by accident, not a big deal. I just like to know.
You better do a good job here. We're counting on you.
Emily, how tech savvy are you?
Want good to go? Okay.
Okay. So this is a new tool for us. It does a lot of different things, and I'm kind of sticking with temperature for now. And again, I'm singling you out because you're singled out, because you're here by yourself, which means I get to work with you hands-on. So really what this guy does is it does multiple things, but the main thing that we're looking for, it's called a REM pod, and the antenna that I just pulled up will allow us to see when something is getting near it. So it's basically creating an EMF field around this guy. So when something gets close to it, it's going to make noises. The reason why I look for somebody that's going to be tech savvy on this, it's new for me, so I'm still learning what different things it'll do. And there's a lot of buttons. So we're going to kind of go through these individually, but there's a lot more to this guy that we're going to kind of talk about at our first location. So that's going to go to you. And then London, do you remember which buttons were which on that?
I believe so.
Okay, I think I'm going to work with her first. So London, this was her first time seeing that as well. All right, we're going to be using several different types of spirit boxes. So spirit boxes allow us to talk to the dead through radio waves. So basically we have a radio sweeper that's going to sweep through all of the FM radio stations at a very quick rate. It's kind of like on your TV shows, it's the white noise that you hear, and then the host tells you what he thinks he heard. So with this particular guy, it's not just white noise. I have it slowed down so that the radio stations come through just a little bit. I call it radio chatter. So the radio chatter, it could be a song lyric, it could be a DJ, a commercial. If it makes sense to the location, it could be something to the person that was, obviously once lived there, or something related to the story that I'm telling, and so forth and so on. The cool thing is that it records the entire session for us, even when it's on mute and no outside noise. So it's literally just going to record the radio sweep, and that is it. So, Ashley, I think I'm going to hand this over to you. So I'm going to get this set up to record. And it's going to stop on me. So this one was acting up on me the other night, and I bought a new one. So we have a backup in case this one quits on us. Now, it started right back up again 3 minutes later. I have it on video. It was a weird occurrence. You literally only have one button to worry about. It's the volume button. There's a little turn wheel at the top. So you can see it changing the radio station. The little SD means that it's recording. So when I see spirit boxes up, I turn it up just loud enough so it's supposed to be here. But it's really Alright, what do we want to move to next? Case number 1 is empty. Yes, I got a whole Santa Claus bag full of ghost hunting gear. So everybody gets involved. Everybody gets involved. Alright.
I'm looking for beehives.
Your arm's getting tired there, Hugh?
Already?
No, they're good for beehives.
Oh.
That's what we use to hunt
I'll be
beehives
curious if you
with.
find one.
So
Okay.
Hugh turns 60 tomorrow.
Oh.
We are here celebrating his big
Well, happy
birthday weekend.
And now we all know, and it's all recorded twice. So, lucky on you.
Yeah.
Well, happy early birthday.
Well, thank you.
So we're going to stick with the spirit box thing here for just a minute. And this one in particular is interesting because it's a phone app. So you're probably thinking, Nick, what in the world? Seriously, a phone app? So keep in mind, everybody here is going to have an electronic device. I don't use Ouija boards or dowsing rods or anything mechanical. So everything here is going to be able to be manipulated by some kind of outside force that we can't see or hear with our own ears or eyes. So what this guy does is it actually gives us a word in the center of the screen from time to time, and then it saves all those words to a list. So 80% of this, wow, that's running really high. I must have had it running while I was in my office. But 80% of what will come up on this list doesn't mean anything. It's the 5 to 20% that might mean something close to the place that we are, a person I'm talking about, or something going on with us. So I will always give you verifiable links of where I'm getting my information. So that way, if I tell you Eliza Pinckney planted indigo, and I get blue plant that comes up, indigo is a blue plant. That makes perfect sense in that particular location. Does that make sense to everybody? Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the mentality that I look for in there. It's the same thing with any of the spirit boxes. Wow, this is really taking a long time to load. Again, I must have had it running in my office while I was doing somebody else's data. Yeah, it's really going. London, wait for this. Oh, never mind. Clear that out. So I average about 55 words per 90 to 120 minute tour. So I say 90 to 120 minutes because based on the activity, we could be how close to 2 hours. Just depends on how much we're actually collecting. So, Sam, was it? All you have to do is read it. Let us know what pops up from time to time. You're feel free to interrupt me and be rude.
So what am I reading? Where
Just
it
a
says
word.
according?
Yep, that's a word. So if it's too vague, I'm going to tell you that's part of the 80%. I need specifics. So when we're talking about those spirit boxes, that's kind of the mentality that we're looking for.
Okay.
Let's see here.
Ron.
Run.
No, Ron.
Wrong.
Oh,
Ron,
that's
it's a name?
yes.
Well, that's a good sign. I'm going to talk about why in a minute.
Bottle.
That also makes sense here,
Yes,
doesn't
it
it?
does.
All right, you guys are going to learn why these words make sense. Okay, yeah, we're by a bar. Imagine that. EMF meters. So these are very common on television, right? This is the exact same model that they use. They measure electromagnetic fields. So it measures 3 different types, which is why it's so sensitive and being used on television. The first one is natural, it comes from the earth, that's why it's not doing anything. The second one is going to be from any type of electronic device, so it's going to make it go into a pulse. So we literally have to be touching this. Hi, can I help you?
Hi, was this for the goat or the graveyard tour?
No, you're looking for bulldog. Down the street and to the left.
Thank you.
You got it. They overpaid and they're not getting tours. Did I say that out loud? I did. So the third thing that we're looking for, guys, are this thing to go a little bit erratic. Something I can't explain. I don't want man-made objects obviously influencing it, and I'll debunk things always first. So, I'm sorry, I forgot your name.
Omid.
Omid, you get it right.
Yes.
So that's going to kind of help you where to stop and ask questions with the spirit box. We're going to talk about that on our first location. Linda,
Yes.
what do we want for you?
Something that doesn't require a lot of attention. I'm not good at focusing. So do you have something good for that?
I do.
Because I'll pay attention to other things very quickly. It's so true.
We don't have any teenagers here, except for London, and they don't normally know what this guy is. So this is a basic digital camera. So essentially, we're going to be taking pictures. London's going to have the infrared light, so from time to time she will work with you on the light. So
It's a thing.
yeah, so this is new for us as well. It does attach to the bottom, but it's not really well attached, so London's going to hang on to it. But basically what it does is it helps us see at night, and it's going to help us see things that we can't see normally. Now, if I flip the other switch, it actually creates kind of, you guys see the purple lights in there?
Mm-hmm.
So it just doesn't shoot out very far. It's not meant to be used outdoors, so we're going to stick with the other one. Sorry if I flashed anybody. So London's going to help out with this guy so she can learn more about that, and that will go to you. You can
And
have
you'll tell
pictures,
me
right?
when to take a picture, huh?
You can take pictures all night long.
All right.
So
Which
take,
one's which color?
figure it out, point it down and shoot it. There you go.
Green. Okay.
All right, so I do have extra things that will help out. Oh, you don't have anything, do you? All right, so what we're going to do for you, yeah, I think we're going to go with some lasers. You look like a very responsible adult, Paul. So
There's
this will
one.
help out with what you're working with too. So we are going to be working with lasers. Why I say responsible
That's a
adult
cool
is
one.
because lasers can get Nick in a lot of trouble. If they're pointed the wrong way, they always have to be pointed down. So the cool thing about these guys, again, they help us see things we can't see with the naked eye. You can't see the laser from the pen to the ground until something passes through it. So literally, you're going to be taking a ton of pictures of what he's shining down. Now again, with your 4 people in your party, feel free to intermix however you guys want to. You guys are obviously a couple, feel free to intermix. You can intermix with yourself, Kimberly. That'd be great. But you have a multi-tool. That's why you have the new stuff.
You'll be
So
working
again,
hard.
this is the cool thing on this is you're going to be able to turn the knob. We want as many dots as possible, and you're going to be shooting some lasers. Hopefully we can find some ghosts. got one button on there.
That
There
dog
you
will
go.
get
You
the
got it.
food.
Perfect.
Oh, yeah.
How was it gonna get you more? Oh, okay. All
So
right,
yeah,
got
just
it.
twist the tip. Yep. So I do have another one. So I may just keep this one on me. What this one does is it actually gives us red squares. So the red squares, why they're so significant versus the green dots, is if we capture something on picture or on film here, I can put it in 3D software and we can get a full view of what we caught with this guy. So again, they're all lasers, so I try to keep them either all in one hand or I kind of use them myself if I need to. But this one also doesn't show up as well in your pictures. That's why we haven't been using it as much lately. So I'll kind of keep this one here on me. So if we get a bunch of activity and I want to use something, then I have something to go with. I lied. I said me and London weren't going to be using any tools tonight, but we're kind of assisting with everything. So I do have extra like thermometers and all kinds of things to prove what Hugh is finding. So if we get something weird, we can definitely detect. And your device actually also has ambient temperature. So we're going to cover that here shortly too. So everybody's got a tool, right? We've got something.
So I don't need to look at the words until we get to where we're going.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
We're going to show you more about that device too.
All right.
That's got a lot to it. Everything you guys are holding has more to it. We're just kind of giving you the quick skim so that way we can kind of get the stories going and start this investigation going. So we start here for a reason. This place used to be called Big John's. None of you are from here, so we can lie to you all night long, which is great. So I'm kidding. We're going to tell you true stories. So Big John, he was a football player for the 1947 New York Giants. He used to sit in the back of the bar, and he would tell the bartender if the cadets that came over from the Citadel, if they were of age or not. And one night, two guys came in. They're not of age. Big John tells the bartender, get them out of here. They leave pretty angry. They come back the next night, and they try to steal the cash register that was sitting in the front of the bar. Why it was by the door, I don't know. So Big John sees this, and he gets into a bar fight with these guys. So he's pounding these guys into the floor, and a couple shots go off. Big John gets back up. He goes back to the bar. He got shot in the neck. He tells the bartender, get me a beer and go get them guys an ambulance. Nobody dies in that story. The bullet that hit John in the neck ricocheted and landed in the wall. Didn't ricochet bounds, but kind of went through him. Just caught a piece of him. What's haunting the place is that bullet hole. It's still here, allegedly. And you don't have to keep that on the whole time.
Necessarily.
You'll burn it out real quick. So with that being said, people that sit in the front of the bar, they get a little dizzy, nauseous, queasy. I bring this story up on purpose, which is one of the reasons why we start here. If anybody's feeling anything, that's any of those symptoms, please let us know. We'll move on very quickly. It wouldn't be the first or last time that would happen. So it's not to scare you, because this isn't technically a scary tour. This is a scientific tour, as you guys can see. So if you guys are feeling the slightest bit of headache, just let us know. We'll move on, or get you a bottle of water, do whatever we got to do. So let's not talk about our own health, right? Well, you guys are a quiet group. Unless I'm just that talkative tonight. You guys got to shut me up. So
You're always that talkative.
I know. London says I'm not talkative all the time, but I'm the writer. I'm supposed to be talkative. So we had a big earthquake here. If you've never taken a tour in Charleston, they all talk about our big earthquake that we had here in 1886. This allegedly is where the first death occurred. The mantle that's above your heads also wraps around the front of the building. A piece of that broke off, struck somebody in the head, and allegedly killed them. Of course, that's one of those grapevine stories, and I have no verifiable proof. It's just a great story, so you don't think about your own health and getting headaches on my tour. So, are you guys ready to go ghost hunting?
Yeah.
All right,
Sure.
let's go this way.
Punch.
Oh, say punch?
Yeah.
He just did.
I had control.
I just saw you.
I think just punch, didn't I?
You did.
You're very observant. I like it.
Thank you. That's what I did.
I love having somebody like you on the tour.
You, I gotta say, you got the toughest one because you gotta keep pointing that thing.
Yeah, not stiff in a freaking hole.
Watch where you're walking.
Yeah, you don't have to watch it the whole time.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna watch it in a moment.
You're gonna trip
Make
because
a
you're
watch.
watching.
Watch it. You know what's gonna go.
Yep. Add another ghost to the story to be me.
All right. Again, told you, it's not a sightseeing tour. You're gonna see I love parking lots. Why? Because we get to explore. So, what is this place? This is the Big Red Barn Lot. Okay, so this is where we keep your horses for your carriage rides. They are at the back of the barn. So, those of you with lasers, absolutely, there's only one of you with lasers. So no laser on the barn, we will spook the horses. And lasers also set off car alarms. That's super great, right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so you gotta be careful around vehicles too. So the only history I have here is that this is the thing I find in packers is like delivered milk control. Whenever I'm going to a quick history of a building or a story, I'm always going to emphasize keywords. It's usually for the spirit box teams because delivery and milk are obviously very specific terms, right? So you're not going to always hear or see those kind of things, especially on a radio station. So also think of this entire time with us as kind of like a training course on how to go ghost hunting effectively. This is your novice class. So we're going to start off with spirit box stuff and keep it simple. This is not TV where is somebody here? First off, if somebody says no, that means somebody's here. They answered you. Second, if you hear a real estate commercial, Ashley, and they say the word houses, you think you heard yes, because S and O are two of the most common sounds we have. Not to mention they're one syllable. So you might hear delivery, that's 3 syllables. That's a whole different thing. Milk is a very specific type of sound. But we're gonna stay away from yes or no questions all night long. We're gonna start off with something simple that you already know the answer to. The barn is red. If you didn't already know that, I'm telling you no. What color is the barn? That's a question. Now, what we're finding is that we might not hear the color specifically red, but something that is like normally red, like a fire truck, fire itself. I had the word heart come up the other night. What color is the barn? Heart. Like it was an immediate response. So,
I was getting a little reading.
oh, we actually got something?
Yeah.
Good. So this lot is weird with the EMF. It could start as soon as we walk in. Sometimes it waits till we leave. But as far as the spirit boxes, that's the kind of thing we're looking for. You're going to ask the same question several times, maybe 2, 3, maybe 4 tries. Give it 10, 15 seconds in between each one. If you don't get an answer, we're going to open it up. What's inside the barn? Now we got clues to put together. We have animals, hay, horses. They're draft horses. They've delivered milk to Charleston. Charleston's a little too common on our radio station, so we're going to probably omit that. But we've seen the words calcium and protein show up. Why protein? They also delivered eggs. So again, these are the kind of clues that we're looking for to try to piece all this together to make sure we're making contact. Now, you had a specific name over there, Ron, come up, right? Mm-hmm. So now I got to look at Big John's team roster to see if there was a Ron and then listen for a number on hers. I don't get excited with one device going off. I normally need at least 2. So if the EMF meter's going off, that's the first symbol. But if I have 2 spirit boxes that correlate, wow, that's great evidence. That's really cool stuff. So again, if you have Ron and I find a Ron on the roster, I'm going to be listening for a number for sure. So I'm looking for a jersey number or a date of birth, something that's going to match up to Ron. So it's not me stretching, it's literal, oh, Ron number 42, great, that was his number. So, I'm trying to think here, what else do we have? So I definitely want to work with Kimberly first because she has such a very complicated device. Do you remember how to go through the demonstration with thermal imaging?
I believe it so.
Okay, so London's going to help you with some of the things that we're looking for on there, and kind of give you the gist of, like, look at the blank wall, then you walk into the picture, kind of show them why it varies. I'd probably use that wall over there, that would be great. Pictures through the grid, that would be great, just take 1,000,000 pictures, and really, the camera, the way I normally hold this when I'm working with it, is just right down here. Just make sure it's going through it. We don't need to see pictures down at the dots, we know what they look like.
I'm not taking pictures out.
Right through here. So
Oh.
you're literally going to be holding the picture, probably waistline, and just, yeah, you don't need to bend over. Just shoot it right through it. And the more pictures you take, the more...
Turn it on.
Yeah, the button, there you go. The big button takes a picture, the one next to it is a power.
So she's taking pictures, but we don't see anything there. I don't get it.
So the point is, there's going to be things, because go ahead and turn it back on. So if something were to pass through this, it's not going to stay right here and say, hi, take a picture. It's going to be super quick. So I want her.
it just by looking at that?
You might miss it. That's why I want 1,000,000 pictures.
So I'll just sit here and snap, that's all
just
I do?
take you some pictures. Take pictures and snap.
Oh.
And the further you are away from him, the easier it's going to be able to determine if it's actually going through or not. So and there's no flash on the picture on the camera either. They did that on purpose. They turned it off so there was no false positives. So again, the further, like 4 or 5 feet away from it, the better pictures we're going to get out of it.
Okay.
So, Kimberly, let's go chat about your
Start taking pictures. I will. I'm gonna give her a text.
Your particular device has a lot.
It means that there's some form of, yeah. And like even like the phone, when I put my phone to it, it doesn't go all the way. So that means there's something that's like right here.
Did we move somewhere else? Let's move somewhere else now. Let's just live on the edge.
Also underneath us is a sewer line, so there's no like electrical line. trying to remember like the whole thing because my dad normally works with the heat thermal imaging camera. So, like up against this wall.
This way?
So you were to point it just at the wall, and see how it says 8520.
Right.
And then if I were to walk into it, now what's like the hottest thing in the camera?
Your face, forehead,
Okay.
and your hand.
So,
Because you're over 90 something.
okay.
You're not 90 something.
So you know how it fluctuated from like the wall was now blue once I
Right.
was in the camera?
Right.
You're looking for the dark blue and black spots. That's
Okay.
why we try to keep like a person in the viewfinder, so that like if there was a like dark blue spot like right here,
Mm-hmm.
we would be able to tell like the difference between the average human whatever versus
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because there's some different colors.
okay. So
Like behind you toward that light, it's blue, but in front of you, to your left side, it's higher.
okay.
Right, there's a difference. If you back up, keep going about 10 feet. Okay, you're in the blue zone right there.
It might be this.
Now it's a whole area out to the right of you. Just keep walking to your left, straight to your left. You're dead center in the middle of it. You want your dad to see it?
What?
You want your dad to see it?
Yeah.
Gotta see it.
Dad.
He's still there.
How they're doing on thermal imaging.
This, the blue she's standing in,
Mm-hmm.
all up in here in front.
So,
Is that just natural
it's,
heat
yeah, I mean, because we're
from
on
sun or whatever?
asphalt, yeah. So, I mean, not to mention the light is going to be shining down on that for a short period of time, which it should be warmer, but it's kind of hard to say. Whenever it's the ground, I'm really looking for those areas that are. I mean, do you want to see like something I actually caught?
Sure.
Would that make more sense? I love doing it this way just because it makes a whole lot of sense. And I don't know that London's heard me give the one-on-one demonstration a whole lot.
Well, she's hungry.
She's a big help,
Sure, I bet.
especially with stuff like this. You know what I mean? When I got bigger groups. So I keep an evidence folder. Hope it's not rain again.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so this is going to be our next location. This is a wall back in the distance. And you're going to see two living heads. They'll be on the wall, so they're walking by, and there's always a person in view, which is how London should have explained it to you. But we're going to fast forward a few seconds, and you're going to see two dead people going the opposite way. So they're going to be coming past the wall, going that way, right about there. Do you see how there's little black dots that went by? Like there was always a person in view. I've sent this off to firemen, and they can't explain it either. Because a car would be on the other side of the street, too far away for it to be that close to the wall.
Okay.
So, but really, that's what you're looking for. Those
So
blue.
it's quite possible we won't see anything with this.
It's a
'cause
very
we're
good
walking
possibility.
and looking and trying
Right.
not to trip over.
Right, and that's why I say
Yeah.
just be a cameraman. Just
Cool.
need you to hold it. If you catch something, awesome. Just
Oh.
you're just kind of in control of the electronics piece of it, making sure like it's still going. That red square is always there. It stays horizontal. what I do with it is I send it to YouTube and then send it back to my website, so that way all your data's in one spot, and it doesn't. YouTube doesn't like the flippies, so that's why I say try to keep it horizontal.
Okay.
But it's a very interesting tool, and it's probably my coolest tool. It just doesn't capture the most evidence. The spirit boxes by far
Right.
capture the most.
We use these in beekeeping to find the bee nests in walls.
Okay.
And I was law enforcement too, so
Nice. So
ours are bigger.
I tried
these-
putting it on a tablet.
So the,
The video's horrible.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really bad because I need an
These are cool.
attachment and all kinds of things for it. But yeah, I mean, if you've already used those
'cause
before.
there's that exhaust fan above her head.
Yep. Exactly.
So there's a lot of normal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And
Fine.
why we come here is mainly for that particular camera because of the asphalt. You got the brick, you know, trees, foliage. There's wood over there. That way you can kind of see how things hold different temperatures from the daytime.
Right.
You know, that's another. This was a perfect practice spot for everybody because everything pretty much does something in here.
Mm-hmm.
So let me see what the next team is working on.
Fine.
There you go. That's the perfect distance. You guys got the gist of that? I know it's super simple, but
Yeah, it's not too difficult to figure out.
so just so you can see some evidence of things that I've captured.
Mm-hmm. Prison?
For example, I can't explain what that is.
There's a very good likelihood that we're close to where prison either is or was.
Take a random picture. This one is working out probably 3 or 4 times, 3 times. But I don't know what that little piece is. Again, it's going to be real simple stuff. And it's exciting for me. This one here is unexplainable because there's no pure blur. I know it's close to the ground. But again, yeah, it's those weird little green little bricks that I'm looking for.
What color is my shirt?
That's what caught my color from oh, set. This one here, same thing.
Hmm.
Color again. Top is 10. So what's the one below it? That's all I'm looking
What's
for.
inside of
So again, you're gonna miss those little things. There's the top one is 10. The one below it. Again, the simple little things like that. So that's why everybody has a small shot. Instead of trying to do a full investigation with all of it. Everybody got the gist of how your tools work? Is everybody ready to learn some real history instead of playing around with the horses?
Yeah.
All right, let's go this way.
I like horses. Paul, you getting sick or anything yet? You feeling okay?
Earthquake.
Oh my God.
Look at
I
this
felt it.
beautiful parking lot, everybody. I know, right? So, this one actually holds quite a bit of historical significance. Holy cow, you're all the way up to red. Awesome. So, what his machine is doing is your top number. So, if you start to skyrocket a little bit, please let me know. We're measuring 2 different areas. Alright, so, Welcome to the Eliza and Charles Pinckney Mansion site. So I'm sure that that name rings a bell if you've been driving around town a little bit. Not to mention, we met on the corners of... That's exciting.
Let me get a picture.
So,
Did you catch anything? I don't know.
all right, so he was filming the whole time, so I can watch it the next morning and see what was going on. All right, so, well, first off, this is the only entrance and exit, so let's move a little bit closer down this way. Eliza and Charles Pinckney had a son named Charles, and they had a nephew named Charles. The son and the nephew were signers of our Constitution. So, obviously, the son was raised here, very big deal, but I hate politics, and nobody here wants to talk politics, I'm sure. So we're going to move on to Eliza. She's way cooler. Not to mention, it is still Women's History Month. So if you didn't know that, you do now. Smart. So, Eliza married Charles at a young age. This is your intermediate level ghost hunting, by the way. I'm not going to be giving you answers. It's not where's George Washington's white horse kind of mentality. So again, pay attention to the questions and the clues of things I'm not saying. So Eliza married Charles at a young age because her father was dying, or at least he thought he was, over in England. He wanted all of his kids home, and she didn't want to go. She got married. It didn't give her any kind of citizenship because we're talking colonial times. That wasn't a thing yet. So, but it basically said, Dad, I'm not going anywhere. I just got married. So, she was right. Dad did not die. And then he starts sending over wedding gifts. One of those gifts happened to be the plant indigo. Again, you guys have been driving around town. You've probably seen the word indigo a few times. Indigo is a plant that makes blue dye, that makes our blue jeans blue. Most of you are wearing it tonight. So it's what we still use it for. It actually started right here as an experiment. And indigo actually already had a history here in South Carolina through our Gullah culture. So Gullahs were the slaves that came over straight from Africa. She had to learn from her servants and slaves on how to keep this plant cultivated in our weird temperatures. Last week it was cold here. So I'm just going to tell you, I had hot hands and pants and long sleeves, the whole nine. So she had to find a way to keep this plant going. Our rice plantations were also starting to go downhill, which means we needed another cash crop to kind of pick up the colonies again. Indigo was that crop. She moved her experiment to Snee Farm in Mount Pleasant, then called Dad overseas, obviously through a letter, not the telephone, colonial times, and said, can I have the contacts of all the leaders around the different countries? I want to start selling this plant. It's exactly what she did. So we're talking about a businesswoman in the mid-1700s, where there was no such thing as a businesswoman. I'm just scratching the surface of the things that Eliza has done for this country, but there's a lot of weird things we can be asking our spirit boxes and looking for in this particular location. Eliza was the second wife named Eliza from Charles. Back to back. So, horrible. Bad decision, Charles. So, both Elizas go by their maiden name. So we can try to find out what their maiden
Abigail.
names were. What did you got?
Abigail.
I don't have a tie in my head. Again, something I might have to research. I'll say, you guys will see me get excited, trust me. I'll pull the yes, we have something kind of mentality.
What the heck was this?
That's it. Yes, we got something. Don't make fun of it. Anybody need a teenager? So, where was I? So Eliza, and both maiden names start with the letter L. That's the only clue I'm going to give you on that one. Eliza had, you can find out how many kids that she had. Just don't ask any more about those children. There's a tragedy involved. Activity seems to stop if you start poking around with that. You can ask anything you want to about Eliza's death. So how many, where did she die, how old she was, what did she die from, and which U.S. president was a pallbearer at her funeral. So that's a pretty big deal. Most people go after that question first. You can ask what happened to the mansion. That's another great question. If you want to talk to Charles, you can usually ask him things about which political party he belonged to, what was his actual position in government, and his birthday and death day. Like, that's a pretty significant thing too. So again, it just depends on who you want to talk to and how you want to go about asking them their questions. So we are going to explore this lot. This would be a great grand finale for me if it was the last point, because there's so much activity here. Most of the evidence, and I just showed you a video of something I caught here with the thermal imaging camera. Most of the EVPs and things from spirit boxes, and obviously the EMF's going absolutely bonkers. Hopefully we're going to be getting some things with the movement on the REM pod, and we can see what actually comes out of here. Actually, I think all of the pictures I just showed the two of you came out of here too with the grids. So this is a very big hotspot. Keep in mind, lasers on vehicles, there's plenty of them in here, so we want to keep them off the vehicles, definitely below the walls. I think the whole lot is pretty much lined, so we're going to have to keep it straight down. I want to work with you guys because I haven't really chatted with you guys yet. In London, you probably need to hang out with a little bit, so maybe she can show you what she's doing with it, and you can figure that out. London needs to learn more about that machine, as do I. So I've only been using it for about a week, and I haven't handed it to a fellow ghost hunter yet. So,
You do have too much proper grammar.
did you hear this? I have too much proper grammar. That was what she just said to me.
So, Nick,
Correct me. Yes.
I don't get it. So am I supposed to be asking questions to this thing?
You ask questions to whoever might be out in front of you. I'll work with you. I'll work with you first. How about that? Maybe I can help you out with
All
that.
I'm doing is shouting out words.
I'll work with you next. All right, so let's explore this lot. You get us some good footage on that guy, and we'll see what we can capture, nice and slow. You know how thermal imaging works. So start asking, go ahead and definitely get your spirit box up and running.
Oh, you're here?
No, that's too far away. Reset it, see what happens. That's really cool.
Eliza. Eliza, what was the plan?
This is sort out, right? What was your maiden name?
So you guys getting answers from the machine?
Doing a damn fine job.
Come on, Paul, listen.
I'm doing a great job.
You can try some work.
How old were you when you got married?
Who was the president at your pallbearer? Who served as your pallbearer, please?
What color plants did you grow?
Luck with that.
What happened to the house that was
It's Linda. Oop. Just saw something.
I want to know who the pallbearer was.
I asked that question too.
What does it say, Pam? Reach.
For the sky.
Yeah, you know, like I reach. Yeah. What? Eliza, damn it! Who is this phone here? Just walking around, Eliza.
You're gonna piss him off. Something about 39 minutes there was something that went from right to left. Don't know what it was. It was kind of bluish.
Who's your pallbearer? When did you die?
Kitchen exhaust looks really hot. I had something go from right to left. It's 39 minutes.
And there's not a lot of activity.
It's a blue color, and that's what we're looking for, is cold things moving.
Like a
this-
dinosaur.
It does,
Well, that's what people.
yeah.
Alright.
But,
How are you doing on the thermal?
29 minutes. I noticed something blue.
39, you said.
I'm sorry, 39 minutes. Something blue went from right to left.
Okay.
It's kind of like where they were just walking by in that same little hole.
Good. So that gives me, and obviously you said something because you recognize the time. So be able to pinpoint that for sure. That's good. Because a lot of times I just get a video cameraman and I got to go through it the next day without having any kind of reference.
Are they trapped? Or just like
It's good.
It's interesting. You've been a very cold cat. I hope not.
I know the grids aren't the most exciting, John.
No,
You do
it's
capture
fine.
Something. It's
I just know I don't turn it on if she's not around to take pictures. So.
yeah, there's really no point. You're gonna miss it. It's gonna go through that quick. And it's nothing against you. It's anybody's gonna miss it. That's why we usually set those up in an empty room with a camera watching them. So if something breaks it and moves across, or we get a mist or something that comes across it, you can obviously see the dots move. So I think she's more enthralled with the thermal imaging camera.
Let me guess, you still haven't found out who the pallbearer is.
stars now. You all that heat is all the lights over there, I guess, in the church.
Yeah, see the top of the cable up top?
Mm-hmm.
That's where how much the brick is stored.
Wow.
That looks like an old prison over there.
Yeah, it wouldn't be attached to the church, though.
It could have been. Like a jail over there on the right side.
What do you see now?
That could be the light. Yeah, little, it's just a darker heat source.
That thing starts to.
But I did see it 29
Okay.
minutes or something. Blue. 39, there's a blue thing in that opposite direction.
So watch, see if the temp changes a lot. To 76 to 78, you think?
Yeah, like right there. The pollen goes up. He said try to keep a body there so that
Or just so you can compare it, or?
the machine can compare. It targets on him, and that's the temperature. So anything floating around that would be dead would be a light color, blue color, that would float by or go by or run by or whatever. And contrasting to you can see it better because it's contrasting with his heat. Can do it comes from.
What are you doing over there? Is she talking to you? Okay, Paul, turn that thing on. Let me do my job again.
Changes every, you know.
What's that?
I think it's on a timer and it changes every, you know, certain
Every
period of
so
time.
many seconds, it just changes.
Every like minute and a half or 2 minutes.
So it doesn't react differently to your voice.
But when I walk in different places, then I see more. Right now, there's nothing here, whereas other times it's up a lot more. And these have more going on.
And those are radio waves, right? So they could, if you get close to the building, they get lost.
Furthermore,
Film 'em.
Yeah. That's what I meant. Finally answered your question.
The signs behind show up as cool. The metal signs.
Afraid we're gonna do the last tour, which was a dozen years ago.
I'm not sure how it works.
Alright, we getting any answers out of your spirit box?
No.
Any words at all?
Furthermore,
Yeah, it's too big. That's nothing.
yeah, I was
So
looking
who
at
was
the.
the president that was the pallbearer?
Washington.
Really?
Look at that.
Wow.
I got stars, I got reached, and we were on designer when you were looking at this with me.
Mm-hmm.
So, not real talkative, and I
Okay.
asked her many times, saying to her,
You sang to her?
I did.
It's kind of barked at her once. That's that northern influence coming out.
And what's funny is I said George Washington was the president. I didn't even know that until I had EVPs twice in the same week that said George Washington. I'm like, well, there's got to be a link. So, of course, I start researching Washington and Pinckney's, and he was the pallbearer. So when I have other people ask, we normally get either just a George or a Washington, never a full name, or we get a G or a W,
Circle and
or
11.
we get the word wood. Washington had wooden dentures, which is one of the things that he's famous for. So, very interesting things that I get around GW.
You wouldn't know it by his smile.
No,
But that was a joke.
they're
See, now
birch.
there's something going on.
Is that what
Linda,
you said?
Taking pictures
So that was a
because
joke.
I got a lot of nominee. I got a lot of activity on my thing here.
We're going to give yours another minute just because it seems like it might be kicking out a few extra terms. We'll see if, nominee, I want to say one of the sons was nominated for like a Senate seat or something. I don't know off the top of my head. It might be something I dive into, but nominee makes sense there, kind of. And again, it might be somewhat of a stretch until I find solid evidence, but nominee would make sense. So let me see what Ashley's finding on hers, and I'm going to give you guys all the answers. I'm not going to leave you guys hanging.
All right.
That's good because we're an inquisitive bunch. We'd like to know. And I'm gonna see if there's anything buzzing around you for a second.
All right.
Any new words?
Anything checking out Luscious Linda?
Okay. It just scared me because there were a lot of colors.
A lot of colors. London's scared of the colors, everybody. All right, so let's get you guys some answers. First off, you want to tell us what you think you may have heard?
We heard 21 definitely.
You heard 21 for sure.
Maybe 20. That's a stretch.
And maybe what?
20, 30.
23. So, they did ask me after hearing the number 21 how old Eliza was, just kind of how you guys just asked me who the president was. And I did tell her Eliza was 22 when she got married, but there was 23 years difference between her and it's Alexa. She might not want to do that. That thing won't go up too. There was 23 years between her and Charles. So the fact that I told her the number 23, she may have wanted to hear that. So you guys kind of all passed my little test, at least those of you with spirit boxes, of what color is George Washington's white horse. Like I said, this is not going to be that type of mentality. It was George Washington who was the pallbearer at her funeral. And none of you guessed it, so you all passed it. So again, you didn't hear Washington, but you did hear 23 moments after I did tell you. So I'll have to kind of search for that in the morning. So again, I'm not super excited about it yet. So we'll see what happens. So Eliza was 70 years old when she passed away from breast cancer that we know of. And I was talking 1793. We didn't have breast cancer yet. At least we didn't think we did. So we're going based off her medical records. So the word cancer shows up here quite often, which is very interesting, obviously. But that was in Philadelphia. And that's also where she's buried. So she's buried in Philadelphia. So again, to answer the question of why don't we go to cemeteries, we don't need to. People are going to go to the places they love after they die. They're not going to hang out where they're buried and where their coffin's underground. So, let's see. We already know that Washington was the pallbearer. The mansion did burn down in the Great Fire of 1861. So that was just a Peninsula Coast to Peninsula Coast fire. So it was just in the way. There's no foul play or anything like that. And it was obviously long after Eliza and Charles's death. So the house was still in the family. It just caught fire. So I usually get smoke. The color black. Some people ask what color the house was, and they'll get the color black, obviously from any kind of flames that came through it. So anything relating to a fire will normally come through as well. There were 4 children, if any of you were asking that. So there was Charles, Thomas, George, and Harriet. There was only 1 daughter. The interesting thing about the daughter is that she married in Horry, which Myrtle Beach is in Horry County. So she lived in the Georgetown, Myrtle Beach area, because that was obviously very large back then. And they had to write letters back and forth. So I'll get things like ink, quill, pen, paper, anything that deals with writing letters, because they did a lot of that. And the books that are written about Eliza all have samples of her letters to and from Harriet in the Myrtle Beach area. Not to mention, I think there's 1 volume that's nothing but her letters, because Eliza did a lot of writing. So I think that about covers all the questions. Did you guys ask anything else that was out of the norm? What songs were you singing that may have provoked?
You know that Tom Jones? Whoa, whoa, whoa,
Yeah.
Eliza.
Yep. I was wondering what all the chuckles were about over here. And we actually did get a small spike on the REM pod, which detects motion while she was standing still. So again, new device. So it will, if you jerk with it too fast, it will set off. But again, she claims she was standing still. London witnessed it. We just don't have it on a video. But if your camera was pointed that way, we might be able to see some coming through. Not to mention that EMF has been going crazy since we got here. So it doesn't always do that. It's about a 95% chance it will get activity on the EMF meter. And we don't know if we're going to get on the pictures until I look at them in the morning. So, questions, comments, concerns about this particular location? I love this spot. And if they build that hotel here, I'm screwed, because this is a great spot for us. We are going to walk up 4 blocks up to Lodge Alley. So the EMF meter is going to go off because of the parking meters. You can ignore it. You can probably
Alright,
leave,
turn it on.
yeah, you can push that antenna in. So let's kind of save that. People like to break my antennas. Definitely pay attention to your spirit boxes if you're going to listen to them or watch them along the way. I'm looking for names. I won't tell you which names or why until we get there, but definitely kind of keep an ear out for specific, any kind of names that you might hear. Keep filming. If you want to take touristy pictures, I'm all good. But this is definitely a no laser zone on East Bay Street for you. Sorry.
Okay.
There's going to be certain parts of you're out of the game. All right, you guys ready to take a little walk?
Yep.
That's why you guys came on this tour, right?
Yep.
You wanted to walk.
Sure.
I told y'all it wouldn't rain. I'm like a weatherman.
Like a second. Oh my God, look. Lights flashing. Holy Jesus. Watch your step. Buddy, watch your step in the back.
We ate there one time.
Yeah, it's the market. We go there every time we come here.
What restaurant was it that looked just like that?
I don't remember.
Oh, it was in New Orleans, I think.
Yep, you're right.
Just as long as you stand by me. Darling, darling, stand by me.
Let me try this. There you go.
See some great bakeries up in here and restaurants in this little stretch right over there. See, that's where we ate. We were here from our retirement. Okay. Sure. Good card. This is your card.
We're going to have you take a few pictures going down this alley before we walk down.
Okay, hold on. Let me turn it back on.
Okay. Alright. Yeah, just get a couple still shots going straight down the alley. Yep. Let's try to be as still as possible. No flash makes pictures blurry. You good? All right. Let's take a hike. See what I can do with it. Yeah, until I can see more of where it's going and what it does. I'm always adding and upgrading. So, guys, welcome to Lodge Alley. So, the last crosswalk that we came across by High Cotton Restaurant, that was where the original Charlestown Wall was. So it was across the street on East Bay Street, not this side, but across. And then it went up Cumberland Street, which we're going to end up on Cumberland Street, so I'll point it out again. But this was one of the first streets we had in Charleston. This is, obviously it looks like an alley to us, but this was somebody's residence. So the reason why I asked for names is because I have the full list of names of all the residents of every person that's ever lived here and their occupation. Need a breather. I feel like I just did all that walking. So the cool thing is that I normally get two of the common names, Benjamin and John, of people that lived here. It doesn't sound very exciting, but when there's only 5 people that lived here in 1801, and then 2 of the names are Benjamin and John, and they show up together, it's pretty exciting stuff for me.
I got Jacob.
I want to say Jacob was in the 1820s. I'll look that up for sure.
I got Mason, but it could have been a jar.
Nope. Mason is because this is where one of the first Masonic lodges was for Charleston.
Now I have Change It. I also got Oi, O-I, which I thought was weird.
Like, oi.
O-I, yeah.
Interesting. But I like Change It, Mason, and Jacob, only because she's looking up the names, by the way. She's a great resource, everybody.
No Jacob.
No Jacob? Even last name?
Even last name.
Okay, but Mason, for sure. What's odd is in the past, say, 3 weeks, that is the 3rd time that Mason has showed up in this alley. So, again, coincidence? I don't think so.
Well, it was before. It was when we were
On our
on
way
the
here.
street back there.
Where the piano player was singing Stand By
By the
Me.
market.
Yeah.
So, again, I listen to those names along the way here. So, again, it's not like they don't know my route. So, I'm very excited about that. Like, that's something that the London would make fun of me for because I'm excited. So, we're going to take it. But yeah, this is a very interesting alley. They did find some of their tools and some of their silverware in between these clay bricks. These people were considered lower class, and it makes sense because the water's right there. So the smell of low tide would be coming over that wall right through this alley. Higher class people are not going to be living that close to the water where that smell's going to be coming through. So even though those big mansions down there by the Battery, they're tilted a certain way for a reason. So kind of keep that in mind. From here, guys, we're actually going to continue on, but we're going to be in a neighborhood. So we're going to just be passing by and cutting through until we get to our next location. We're going to be getting more into the more popular areas, a little bit more sightseeing type places, so by all means take more pictures. We did get a few pictures coming in. If you want to take some pictures being the last person out, going the opposite way, that'd be great. I do get a lot of light anomalies in here. That's why I usually do that. Like stop, take 2 or 3, nice and still, see what we can capture. So, I think that about covers it. But yeah, we're just going to be cutting through a neighborhood real quick, so we're going to be nice, quick, and quiet, and that way we can go to our next stop.
For a whole like split second, I smell like lemon or lime. Something like that.
Okay, anybody else smell anything weird? Okay, yeah, I know the mask kind of masks the smell, right?
I smelled it when I was like split second.
I've got a job to do.
On a mission from God.
Maybe not God. I smell lemon lime. Also heard a spray.
Taking pictures. Because that's my words. Wow.
Well,
Just loose hair, that's all.
What's your sister?
Yep. She just got the word wow. Attorney at law. It's the attorney's office right here.
They've never been on it. It would have been so cool. And hearing the history and all that.
Paul's having a great time.
Technically, you're always advocating.
So he sends us the results tomorrow?
Huh?
Cool.
Some of the words that came up out of your list.
Okay.
So tell me some more of the things that came up along the way here.
Matter, transit, afterward, plaintiff, wow. Yeah. Change it, I think I had before.
Yeah, that was from Lodge Alley.
Yeah.
All right, so did you guys see the beautiful alley that we passed? At the brick alley coming up the street here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's the wall to the alley behind you. Tours aren't allowed to go down there, but there is a wonderful story down there about an attorney and a doctor. So I heard the word plaintiff, and I'm like, I wonder how many more things I can get out of it to tell the actual story. Not to mention, your spirit box is recording, so we don't know what's coming out of it either. So I'm going to go with the doctor story tonight. This is a great thing about my job. I can just switch it up. Which story do I feel like telling tonight? So that place, if you guys notice the doorway in the center of the wall back there, so they're going to be kind of here, so we're going to let them pass by.
Good evening, y'all.
Oh, how are you doing?
Doing fine, thank you.
Perfect night, huh?
Oh yeah. No rain is always a good night.
So the doorway back there, guys, that's where duels used to occur. So if there was a loser of a duel, which most of the time there wasn't in a duel, the dead guy would come through that doorway, over this courtyard, over to St. Philip's Cemetery, where they would drop the body and then go have a pint to celebrate the winner. So not many people talk about that doorway and why it's there, but that's exactly why it's there. So let's talk about one of these duels. It's the story we all used to tell when we were allowed to go down there. So there was a doctor named Joseph Brown Latt that moved down here from New Jersey. He was supposed to get married to his fiancée Amanda. She just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. Now, the attorney handling that money said, "You're not getting married, I think the doctor's just after your money. Send him away, have him start his practice elsewhere, and we'll see what happens." He moves to Charleston. The coachman, the transit that brought him into town, set him up to be robbed and killed. Obviously, the doctor's dressed pretty well. Somebody walking by said, "You don't want to stay here, let me take you somewhere else." That man's name was Ralph Isaacs. He was a local attorney. The two became friends, Dr. Joseph Brown Latt and Ralph Isaacs. The doctor, his practice starts to take off. He becomes known as the Whistling Doctor because Amanda's going to be moving down soon, his practice is doing well, all is going in his favor. So he used to whistle all the time, so everybody called him the Whistling Doctor. So him and Ralph used to go see plays together, but because the doctor's doing so well in society, he gets better seats when they go to the theater. It's like going to the movies with your friends, but you make more money. You got the better seats, which means you're the jerk, too. That was a joke. So, they had to talk about these plays on the way home. So they were walking home the night after going to see William III, and they start arguing about the new actress that was in town. The doctor loves her, Ralph does not. Obviously they're arguing, but then Ralph starts insulting the doctor's fiancée back home. The two go their separate ways pretty mad. Ralph, being from Charleston, has ties to the newspaper. He calls the newspaper, places an ad, and says what a disgrace the doctor is to the city of Charleston. Not a very cool thing to do, but the doctor sees it, and his rebuttal is, "Let's go to Dueler's Alley and let's settle this once and for all." They go down, they see the face, and they turn. The doctor points his gun in the air and he shoots. He didn't want to kill his friend. Ralph, he has one shot. He takes it out on the kneecap on the doctor. So he didn't die and come through the death gate. He actually took him to 59 Church Street, which is where Ralph initially took him as a safe place to live. He dies 10 days later. They say as you walk through the alley, you can hear the whistles of the doctor, whereas normally I would say, let's get all the spirit boxes off, let's listen to the audio in close detail here, or you can hear the gunshots. So it's a beautiful alley. Again, I can't take you down there. Day or night, it's probably the prettiest spot we have in all of Charleston. It really is. So again, that's the doctor story.
So is it totally locked on both ends?
It's not locked, it's residential.
Oh, it is. Okay.
So at the end of it, so obviously this down here belongs to the church, but towards the end, there's a few mansions that actually their address is Lodge Alley. Or Philadelphia Alley, rather. Sorry. So that's Philadelphia Alley. It's easy to remember because that's where Eliza Pinckney's buried. So if that kind of gives you a gist of what you're looking for when you're walking around town over the next few days. Philadelphia Alley, but it used to be called Dueler's Alley, and before that it was Cow Alley because that's where we kept all the livestock in Charleston. So again, anything coming up with livestock on the spirit boxes is a big deal here too. So
He died from a gunshot?
he died from the gun wound. He was a doctor that could not heal himself.
A lot of infection at
Yep.
that time. Those musket balls that tear through your clothing, take a piece of clothing into your body. They may get the ball out, but they leave the clothing. Clothing's always filthy, so you just injected disease. It's a bad way to go.
Yeah.
Real
Sure
bad.
it was. 10 days of agony. So there's a lot of legends and lore around here. Usually people go straight up to the cemetery as far as the other tours. That's why I say this is a very popular spot. They all look at the one sign that's just inside the cemetery that say there's no ghost here but the Holy Ghost, because they don't want guys like me in there peering with cameras and trying to find ghosts. There was a young lady that died in 1888. Her name is Sue Howard Hardy. She died 6 days after her stillborn child. So 1987, local photographers in town, and he's taking pictures of the cemeteries. He captures a full apparition in that cemetery of a woman wearing a shawl and a baby basket next to her. 1987. We don't have cell phones and all the technology we have now, so he sends it to Kodak. I don't think I have to explain what Kodak is to you. Nice. So normally I'm a teenager and they're like, "What's Kodak?"
What's Kodak?
Don't start. So anyway, Kodak can't debunk the picture either. So again, the picture is cursed. Females that hold it or handling the picture in some way, shape, or form start to not feel well. Kind of the same symptoms I told you about at Big John's. Pregnant females are not going to have a good pregnancy. So I'm not going to be the guy that's going to be getting a phone call 9 months from now because you guys had too much fun on your vacation and now you don't have a good pregnancy. It was my fault. So you want to look it up on your own. Her name was Sue Howard Hardy. And if you call her Susan, she will correct you on the spirit boxes. I've seen it several times. It's very interesting. So she does not like to be called Susan. It's definitely Sue. So we're going to go learn about some pirates. This was just kind of a legends and lore portion. And since we actually had terms that came up related to the doctor and the attorney, I wanted to stop and kind of give you guys that gist, because that story's not always told these days because we can't go down there anymore. So we're going to go look at the oldest government building on the East Coast, right across the street. So you guys are probably like, really? Where? Another parking lot? Yes, another parking lot. Last and final spot.
You get pictures.
Not right here.
The thing says race.
Yeah, I got race. And then fewer now.
Yeah, I do fewer races for sure.
A lot of beautiful buildings.
Oh yeah, this is a gorgeous town. You come down here, while we're here in the old section, it's just beautiful.
Well, before I went to the grocery store, I looked up and I thought, well, maybe we'll go over to the, what is it, the slave museum market. But,
Is that you that texted me?
you know, that was like 20 after 4 and they closed at 5.
Totally understand. All right, so we are.
I only have one hand.
So there are actually two sides to that cemetery that I was just talking about. Right behind me is the other side. This is for, well, let's talk about what that side's for first. That side is for native Charlestonians only. This side is for everybody else. So John Calhoun, 17th Vice President, he's on this side. They moved him several times trying to figure out where he's supposed to go. So they picked up his sarcophagus, literally shoved it, back and forth across the street. He belongs on this side. He's not from here. So you can go visit that side of the cemetery during the daytime. I think some tours take you through there, but if you really want to learn about that kind of history, go for it. So we're going to be talking about the building over here with the crosses on it. Remember I told you guys about the big earthquake, 1886? So anybody explain earthquake bolts to you guys yet? Do you know what those are?
Yeah.
All right. Anybody not know what earthquake bolts?
Bolts.
Yes. Like
In the
bolts.
house?
Like you turn a bolt.
C-O-L-T.
So earthquake bolts, because of our big earthquake in 1886, they started shoving earthquake bolts through the roofs and the floors of a lot of our buildings. So the reason why they do that is if a building gets quaked again, it just is you can tighten up those bolts on a turnbuckle and it'll stand upright again. That's kind of the gist behind it. Now what you guys see on that building over there that look like crosses, those are the very first earthquake bolts that we put up in Charleston. So again, that's the oldest government building we have on the East Coast. So it's not the oldest building we have here in Charleston, but it's the oldest government building. So that is the powder magazine. It held gunpowder for 7 different wars. Gunpowder was shifted back and forth quite a bit, so it was never attacked, but I want to kind of give you the layout of the land again, like I did with Pinckney Mansion. So the street right over here, that was where the Charlestown Wall was. Okay, so it went up about half a block past the powder magazine. So it's literally sitting right in the corner of the Charlestown walls, and we're 3 blocks away from the water. So basically what that means is that if it were to get attacked from the water, the 32-inch thick walls should protect it. But if it penetrates it, it's going to blow that gunpowder up through the roof. The roof is filled with sand from 1712. The gist of that is so that the sand can fall and put out the flames. It's false, doesn't really work well. We had another powder magazine near the battery, obviously much closer to the wall, or, to the water based on the skinniness of the peninsula, and that one blew up because the sand could not put out the fire. Luckily for us, this one was never attacked, so it is still intact. So, very interesting building, but during the time period that this thing was built is where a pirate story comes from, because it's something recognizable from this particular pirate. I'm not a pirate person. I didn't even like this story, because I used to take people through Philadelphia Alley and I didn't want to do pirates, but after I've been reading as much as I have been about this woman, holy cow, and the evidence we get is it's almost as good as the Pinckney Mansion. Almost. So, during the time period that this was being built, 1703, 1704 through 1713, we have a young lady that moves into town with her father and his mistress. That would be her mother. So her name was Anne Cormack. They moved here from Ireland to get away from her father's wife. She's the illegitimate child of his mistress. So they moved here. Mom dies shortly after, so it's just her and dad. Now, she obviously sees the building being built, and she becomes a teenager. We have pirates coming through town. We're talking 1714, 1715. She falls in love. Of course she does. She wants that big, bad pirate life. She falls in love with James Bonney. Dad does not approve. They move to Jamaica. They get married. She's now Anne Bonney. She will stay Anne Bonney through the rest of her days. Now, the interesting thing is that James Bonney was not the pirate that she was hoping to be. She wanted that Johnny Depp, Captain Jack Sparrow type whatever, and he was a privateer, which basically meant he was a spy for the British. So he was a jerk. He was kind of a coward. So she falls in love with another pirate. His name's John Rackham, a.k.a. Calico Jack. So Calico Jack is an up-and-coming pirate. By the way, if you are interested in any of this pirate stuff, there's a new documentary on Netflix that is top-notch. It's called The Lost Pirate Kingdom or something like that.
Yeah.
I watched it in one sitting. So, and Anne Bonny's story is in there along with Calico Jack, Blackbeard, and all the others. But anyway, so she falls in love with Calico Jack, and he has a ship. He's the up-and-coming guy. She wants to be part of it. So he says, that's fine, we're in love, that's cool. You could be a female in my quarters, but to be on my crew, you gotta be a guy. So she dresses up like a male to be part of the crew, because females would curse a pirate ship. You can't have a female on the crew. So, of course, her being a female in the quarters, she eventually gets pregnant. So what's Calico Jack do? I'm going to shove you over in Cuba for a little while. I can't have you show in your pregnancy, and then obviously the guys are going to know you're a female. So have the baby, come back to the crew, we'll figure it out. She has the baby. We don't know what happened to the baby, but she comes back dressed as a female. She no longer gives a damn about hiding her gender. So Jack is mad at her. We don't know what happened to the baby. Again, a lot of holes in this story, which is why I'm doing this, as far as investigating. So he's mad. She decides she's going to go down below deck and start flirting with part of the pirates that Calico Jack just captured to kind of make him a little bit jealous. Well, the person she's flirting with reveals their gender, and they're a female, dressed like a male, just like she was at the beginning. So, obviously, her name was Mary Read. So whenever you look up Anne Bonny, Mary Read's usually in tie with that as well. So Anne Bonny and Mary Read, they become friends. She convinces Mary to become part of the crew as well. And all of a sudden, the British start invading the ship. All of the other pirates are downstairs guarding the other pirates that they just captured, and they're all too drunk to fight. It is Anne Bonny and Mary Read literally trying to take on the entire British fleet. What do you think happens? That ship gets taken pretty quickly. So all of the pirates down below deck, including Calico Jack, are tried and hung for piracy in Jamaica in front of Chief Justice Nicholas Laws. Anne and Mary, they are tried a week later. They are not known to be female in front of this Chief Justice just yet, so they reveal their gender when they're there, hoping to save themselves. That doesn't happen. He doesn't care. They still fought back. They're still going to be tried. They're going to be hung for piracy. Then they pled their bellies. I know, this is a long story. I've seen the yawn. So they pled their bellies, which both means that they were claiming to be pregnant. So what did that do? It delayed their hanging. They're still convicted. Now, Dad's still here in Charleston. He bails her out, brings her back to Charleston. From what we know, she either got married, had 4 children, and died at 84, or moved to Virginia to live out the rest of her days. Why we have such specifics and all them other holes, I don't know. Mary Read died from whatever pirates died from in a Jamaican jail. Do we know if the pregnancies were true? We don't. We don't know any of them. So, The only thing I do know for certain is that the trial was November 28th, 1720. Why do I remember that? Because I started doing this part of the tour on November 28th, 2020. Exactly 300 years later on the anniversary. So I had all kinds of cool stuff that night. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. I didn't even believe the story. If you listened to the tour back then, it was kind of like, okay, let's do this, guys. It's a pirate story. But now I'm excited because I've been getting more and more here. This is kind of like your expert level. You guys know how to ask your questions, you know what parts of the story you are more curious about. We definitely can do some lasers here. Even if you wanted to do lasers and pictures in the front of the building, but we're going to mainly stick to the kind of the side lot for the bulk of us for questions and the things on your. Definitely want you to stick with Kimberly again, please. The thermal imaging has been acting real weird here. Also, your spirit box died on me here. This was the place where it died on me a few nights ago. So we're going to have some fun here. We're going to spend a good maybe 5-10 minutes here based on the activity, and let's see what we can get out of this place. We do not want to interrupt the other tours, so try to keep your spirit box just audible to the two of you. That would be great. And let's see what we can capture.
Is there still gunpowder in those buildings?
It's a museum now. So it's actually really cool. It shows all the different wars that it served in. So it shows all the uniforms, all the artillery is still there. Like there's a lot of really cool stuff in there, and it's cheap to get in. It's only like a 30-minute.
Oh, neat.
So it's like $5 to get in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. I have a season pass for $9. But so when I go in there, it's I go in there because of their bookshop. Their bookshop is phenomenal. Like the owner there, I can't find on like Amazon or whatever. You know, I come here.
What was your job? Did you have a lover?
So that's no matter. Can't date that building for you. I would say but it looks like it's been. You can see where the old top used to be. So it's been many things. It's actually attached to the So if you look at the, I don't know where you guys are saying this, but like the Princess Mary and stuff, you'll see lion heads that are actually holding up like the awnings. Like those are also so they're decorated with lion heads, and especially since that's King Street. You know, they put a lion on King Street. So they do a lot of like weird, you'll see pineapples and all kinds of things.
Oh, wow.
It's all everything. Like whenever you guys take any type of tour, they're gonna talk about it. Because earthquake faults are a big deal.
Right.
And I don't know if we took the idea from California or if California took the idea from us. I have no idea. But apparently, I've had a guest tell me, like, oh yeah, we see earthquake faults all the time. I'm like, you're in California. I'm like, are they that? You have buildings out of it? Like, they're like, no, we just do it anyway. I'm like, okay. So, again, I don't know if we took their idea or vice versa. I have no idea. But those are the oldest sets. And I learned that just from listening to another tour walk by.
Yeah, those are cool.
So the weird thing about last week when the spirit box quit on me here, that was pretty much, it was only me and 2 other people. So the person with the camera was watching me and the other person who had the spirit box, and there was like a little white thing that kind of came all the way down just on the screen real quick, like it was like a brrr, and it was done. So I'm like, that's weird, might have just been a glitch. 30 seconds to a minute later, another one comes over, but just over the person holding the spirit box, and then the spirit box quit.
Alright, let me come over here and take pictures.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's, again, I get all kinds of weird stuff. I just,
I'm sure
if I
you
can't
do.
explain it, then that's the best stuff for me.
There you go. Absolutely.
Because I get people asking me questions all the time. I'm like, if I can say I don't know, that's the best kind of question. I'm like, I don't know.
That's right.
Because that means A, I got to do more research, or I got to figure out if it's ever happened before.
And it's probably never ever going to have all the answers.
Nope, never. But I can keep documenting. If I
That's
keep
okay.
coming to the same locations night after night after night, I mean, just imagine what I can write about the Pinckneys of all the
Sure.
data I've collected over the past 2 years.
So are you just writing blogs currently, or are you going to be
So
Putting a book out?
I don't know yet
Series of
because
books?
I'm still because I write fiction anyway. I got a new book coming out at the end of the year.
Oh, okay. All right. I understand.
Yeah, this is my 8th book. Yeah, my 8th. I mean, that's what I do. But my investigations are in blog and podcast. So, but if I were to write a book like on one location, I could probably do that based on the locations I bring all of you guys.
Right.
Because I can just collect the data.
Yeah, you got plenty of things to pursue here.
Once you guys, like I have to separate it by month because there's so much data on each month's page that I could just literally go back through 2 years and get all the Pinckney Mansion stuff and write a whole book just on that.
Cool.
I'm interested to see if she's hearing anything yet.
All right.
Anything else crazy? So this is a dead zone. Get excited. Now as far as I told you, so I used to have that built into it. It's just doing it a little bit differently. I don't know which one I'm picking up. Last night, I got this. All of a sudden.
Anything else?
I would tell you, but you'd probably get scared. Nope. Looking for an anomaly. Well, hello, anomaly.
I am an anomaly. I can't say the word.
You are. You've been possessed where you can't speak it. Can't say the word. I'm recording, so everything I say is on record.
Make sure the Paul does his job properly.
Yeah, Paul's doing a good job. He's being recorded. The spirits appear as blue things that move by because they're cold.
You didn't see anything except that one.
Yeah, that's.
Maybe you should be pointing toward here.
Well, I'm supposed to point toward
Well, just
people,
go
but when y'all were there, I did. Yeah. That way, there's a
What if there's not a person? What do you see?
whatever the temperature, whatever the ambient temperature is of that. Just leftover heat. That's 78 degrees from sunlight today. Down here is where it's wet. It's cooler. Plus, it's on the ground, so that's leftover heat. Kind of like our house gets hot at night. That's why. So what you're supposed to do is for the machine to work, You keep somebody in it so it has that temperature to analyze. And it bleeds out, kind of bleeds out everything else behind it.
Photographer.
So anything moving it catches.
Not to mention the photographer that was in town taking pictures. See how the party is going. A little bit of a stretch because I'm not telling the story right now. But again, take some time to get the answers. I've had answers come up from.
Has she gotten any new work?
I've gotten her made me. Oh, I didn't know. There's a Liza Richards.
What have you got? You got any cool pictures yet?
Well, I don't really see anything. Nothing.
You and Paul are doing a good job. I'm really proud of both of you. It's amazing.
Always looking for the clues that connect things. So, all right, nothing weird out of you on the thermal. You guys haven't heard anything yet, and that's not the easiest job in the world to do. Did we lose London?
They went around to the
They
front.
went to the front. Let me grab her, and we'll kind of get this party wrapped up.
Kimberly?
And London was hanging out with Kimberly. London likes to latch on to one person. Like, that's what she does with these groups. There they are.
$10 bill. Okay, give it
All right.
tip.
So, this is take a step forward again. And I have to say, for me, letting that into somebody else's hands, she's doing wonderfully. Because that is a very sensitive tool.
Home.
Home? Did you say the word land came up earlier too?
Land?
Land?
I don't think so.
I thought you said the word land. She would have been out to sea, and home would have been on land.
Oh, I did, yeah. Land is way back, yeah.
Okay. Again, I'll look at it as a collective and see what we capture.
Okay.
So I'm excited to hear what is on your spirit box since you guys kind of struggled with that. That's okay. I know you guys heard some numbers for sure. So that's always, it's nice when you catch things in real time, but I don't always expect it because you guys aren't used to doing this every day. So again, the people that booked your tour for your parties, you guys will get your link. That's why I text everybody, kind of make sure you can get links and text from me. But you guys did great. I mean, you guys stayed engaged for sure. You guys had some really cool questions. You guys were like the sponges. Like, you were really quiet. I could see all eyes on me at all times, which is cool. But again, this was more for you guys. I wanted you guys to engage and kind of, I mean, you guys were asking your questions and doing your thing. That's why the poor group last night, that girl, she was 15 years old, same age as London, and she was afraid to ask the spirit box questions with me there, like I was the teacher. So I was like, I'll walk away. You do your thing. So. But yeah, you guys did really well. I'm hoping we get more things out of the Pinckney Mansion site in here because this is where I'm focused on right now because I'm still learning more, obviously, with all them holes in the story. I can't usually verify a lot of those holes because of the pregnancy and after she came back to Charleston, but I might be able to capture something where one historian might have a theory, if that makes sense. So we'll kind of see what comes up out of that. So London's going to get you guys my card so you guys can check out the website ahead of time. And then you guys can ask me a million questions because I have a lot of work to do when I get home.
That's me turning it on.
We'll start with the thermal.
Here.
Thank you.